Hello and welcome back to another episode of Thomas promised to upload more videos, and now he is fulfilling that promise. I'm your host, Thomas Stewart, the mediocre game dev himself and all-around mediocre guy. I've been doing this game dev thing now for 6 or 7 years, and I've made a big effort to try and pay attention to the business side of how others are making indie games so that I can learn a 2 or thing. And as I was thinking about my own approach to indie game development, and also reflecting on how I've seen other people succeed in this space, I want to break down some of the things that I've observed. Now, originally I was planning on going over 5 drastically different ways that I've seen indie devs operate the business side of indie game development, but then I realized that there's just too much to go off of there. So since there's just too much to talk about, I think each of those 5 business models are going to get their own dedicated video. Either way, this particularly unique way of making video games has been on my mind a lot lately. So I decided to take some time today to talk through my thoughts on the game dev collective and subscription business model to developing indie games. As a quick shout out, I want to let you know that my game Tanks But No Tanks officially launched on the Nintendo Switch yesterday. So if you want to check it out, it's a really fun party arcade game where you shoot bullets at each other, collect coins, buy upgrades. It's a lot of fun. It's best played with friends, but you can also play single player against bots. Now, launch week for these kinds of games are very important, so if you own a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo Switch 2, it would mean a lot to me if you'd go check it out. Thanks. Okay, so more about this collective subscription model. If you listen to the Scope Creepers podcast, you probably heard me talking to Aramis the Wise about how the game dev collective and subscription model may be a business model that is semi-tenable for the average indie dev. Now, this particular business model has been popularized by the team at the Sokpop collective. And if you're not familiar with them, they're a group of 4 guys. I think they're all friends and they went to school together, and they decided to form a collective of game developers. They're not a game studio, but they're 4 individual developers that decided to group all of their projects under one umbrella company so that they can launch with bigger marketing appeal. So what this looks like for the player is that you can go to their Patreon and sign up for just $3 a month, and you will get 2 indie games every single month. So from the outset, I think they started in 2018, they were shipping a small indie game every 2 weeks. And as of the recording of this video, they have released 111 games. That's insane. And to be fair, some of those games seem a little lackluster and potentially half-baked, but in general, their games are very cool, very unique, very cozy, and they offer something to the gamer crowd that isn't offered elsewhere. And if you take a look at their Patreon page today, they are making over $6,000 every month from their Patreon subscribers. Now keep in mind that that's getting split 4 ways. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I'm gonna drink some water. Now keep in mind that that $6,000 is getting split amongst the 4 individual developers, but still, that's a considerable amount of contribution that they're getting from their player base. So as a player, I love the idea of getting to try new, unique, and artsy indie games for basically the price of a coffee every month. And actually not even, because you can't even buy a cup of coffee for $3 anymore. And as a dev, I like the idea of not being bogged down by one giant project that's going to take me years to complete, being able to focus on the craft of developing games and being forced to release small scoped games on a regular cadence. But something that's interesting about the Sokpop collective is that originally they were launching 2 games every month for their Patreon backers, and then they moved that back to 1 game per month. Then 1 or 2 of their games exploded. I think one of their games, Simuland, made about 6 figures in Steam sales, but then their game Stacklands really blew up, and it's made over $3 million in revenue. So now they don't actually have any dedicated timeline for releasing their projects. They've decided to continue to work on bigger scoped games now, and there's no commitment for when they're going to release them. So even though they aren't committing to releasing a game every month anymore, they're still getting $6,000 from their Patreon supporters every single month. Why is that? Well, part of it is because people just want to support them. From their GDC talk in 2019, I think, they talked about how their first year that they were established as a collective, only 50% of their Patreon backers actually downloaded the games that they were releasing for them. But another incentive to currently support them on Patreon is that you still get regular access to their back catalog of games. So you can go buy their games individually on Steam or itch.io, but if you want to support them and continually get more access to those games, you get one of their old back catalog games every month when you support them on Patreon. Now, breaking down this business model is interesting to me because they're doing two things. The first thing is that they are operating on a subscription model. So this means that they are charging their users a monthly fee in exchange for a product every month. But the second thing that they're doing that's interesting to me is that they are formed as a collective. They are 4 individual game developers that make their own games independently, but they release them under the umbrella of one parent organization. Like, they don't have one person that's the programmer and one person that's the artist and another person that does business and marketing. None of that. They are solo developers and they build their own games in their entirety. So this is interesting because releasing one game a month seems like an impossible cadence to publish games. But it's actually not that bad because each developer gets 4 months to work on one game. And one game every 4 months is super doable. But a problem that others will have while trying to mimic this business model is gathering a group of developers into a collective to allow for a regular release of games. I'm guessing very few people would pay a monthly subscription fee to only get one game every 4 months. And what Sokpop has going for them is that they're all friends in real life. They rent a space in a building and they work shoulder to shoulder, side by side. They were friends before they started doing business together. And that level of trust is probably essential and definitely hard to come by if you're trying to form a collective and a trustworthy business partnership for indie game development. Now, another bit that's very interesting to talk about is what their Steam sales look like. So let me pull it up. Out of 111 games, they have generated an estimated lifetime revenue of $4.7 million, but the median revenue per game is only $2,000. Their biggest breakout was Stacklands, which generated an estimated $3.4 million, but that's just Steam sales. These are people who bought their games apart from their Patreon subscribers. Now, if we look at their Patreon history, we can see that at their peak, they were making about $9,000 per month from Patreon backers. And it's hard to know for sure by looking at this graph, but they've probably received somewhere between $350,000 to $500,000 total across 7 years, from 2018 to 2025. Now, another aspect to the subscription model that I find interesting is the stair-stepping effect that occurs at the beginning of each month. You can see here that across the past 6 months, there's a big dip in people who canceled their subscription. Now, my thought initially was, well, surely other people are trying to do this too, right? Like, if Sokpop is so wildly successful, why isn't anybody else trying to do it? Surely there's other people doing it, right? Well, I searched high and low and my findings were very small. I found this guy named Johan Pietz that was doing a subscription model for a while, but he had to stop after releasing like 6 games, I think. And he was a little different because his Patreon subscribers would only be charged on the months where he released a game. So he would go a few months without making any money from his Patreon account, and then he would release a game, and then he would make like $600 or $700 per game, I think. Let me confirm that. Yeah, from my research, it looked like he had about 200 Patreon subscribers, which would give him about $670 per game that he released. But another example that I found was this team called PunkCake Delicio. And these guys are awesome as well. They are doing a very Sokpop-ish approach to game development. There are 2 of them, I believe, and they release one game every month, and they charge $3 for a monthly subscription on Patreon to get access to that new game every month. I was listening to an interview with one of the guys from that team, and he was talking about how one of them, I think, made enough money to be able to retire early from his work during the Flash game era. So he made a bunch of Flash browser-based games and made enough money on that to retire early. So I don't think he's totally dependent on a steady stream of income. So that's something to keep in mind too. But what's interesting about PunkCake is they decided to take 1 year off so that they weren't releasing any games for 1 year and they were still developing games. I think they did that to build up their back catalog. So they took a 1 year hiatus and now they're back at it, and every month they release one game a month. And every month they release one game a month. Yeah, that sounds smart. You're a smart guy, Tom. So as of the time of this recording, PunkCake is making about $1,400 a month with about 430 Patreon backers. But what's funny is that PunkCake actually had the same thing happen to them as what happened with the Sokpop Collective. One of their games exploded and has earned millions of dollars on Steam. You may have heard of it. It's called Shotgun King. So anyway, there's some interesting examples for the collective and subscription business model for making indie games. What interests me the most about this approach is that it could potentially be a way for indie devs to make a living off of making small scoped games without having to compete with AAA titles and the storefront algorithms that promote a hit-driven industry. But as you can see from these examples of Sokpop and PunkCake, their success both rely on one breakout hit. So I guess one way to potentially think about this business model is as a prototype incubator, where people get access to early prototypes and game developers get to test the waters for what makes a compelling gameplay hook. Now, the question that I have is this reproducible? Like, what would it look like for somebody else to do this successfully? Well, for one, we have to define what does success look like for you or for me. If making $1,000 per month on Patreon is a success for you, then that's a lot more attainable than if you're trying to make 6 figures a year in game sales. I think the area that could be a pinch point or like a gatekeeping aspect is the skill and the speed of the developers. You need to make games fast and you need to make them good. If you are constantly shipping garbage, then nobody's going to be interested in playing that. On the other hand, if you make a really cool game, but it takes you 8 months, then this subscription model approach isn't going to work for you. Also, in order to reproduce this business model, you would need either friends or business partners to do this with. And so I can see a reality where a handful of indie devs partner together to try and reproduce a model like this, where each dev is able to take turns releasing their own game. Another possibility that I was thinking about is that instead of having a core team to release monthly games that you work alongside with, you could bring in new indie devs and they can just come in for a one-off. So you could accumulate a lineup of unique indie devs that are assigned a particular month out of the year and then do some sort of bracketed revenue share. Maybe the devs who make the game for this month get the majority of the revenue share from the subscription, and then as the months go on, they get subsequently less and less split of the revenue. I doubt that would work, but it's interesting to think about. So let me know in the comments if you think that what the Sokpop and PunkCake teams are doing, if they are outliers, or if you think this is something that more indie devs should choose to pursue. And if you can think of any more examples besides those two, please let me know. If you want to consider supporting my Patreon, I'll leave a link below. I've been posting more regular behind the scenes videos for what I've been working on. So if you're interested in more raw and unedited video updates from me, then you can check it out there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.